We wanted to create this podcast to keep the conversation going around our great sport, while our basketball courts are unfortunately closed due to the unprecedented COVID-19 outbreak. Basketball all over the world has come to a halt in an effort to stop the spread. Suspension, cancellation, isolation, words we are all now very familiar with. COVID-19 has, at this time of production, reached over 200 countries and has confirmed over 859,000 cases, and that number is climbing daily. This global pandemic is like none we've ever experienced, and it's affecting everyone around the world. We want to keep you updated on the situation at hand, but also keep you ready for basketball's eventual return with all the basketball content you want and need to know. Here at Basketball SA, we're getting ready too. We're thinking, we're planning, we're working to come back stronger than ever.
Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead.
I love this game.
White men can't jump.
Rebound box, back out to Allen, his three-pointer, bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
I never made a slam dunk before. Thanks for the boost.
Here it is, folks. This is Australian basketball history. For the first time ever, Australia brings down the number one team in the world, the USA, and they've done it by 4 points.
With that, we want to introduce ourselves and our fresh new podcast. My name is Alan Brown, figuratively alongside me is Will Smith. And we're here to bring to you and keep the positive conversation going, and of course, to help hashtag spread the good stuff for the South Australian basketball community. Basketball family, welcome to Hoops Fix, and a big welcome to the one and only Will Smith. G'day, Will.
Hey AB, how you going?
Good, mate. Good. Like that. That was just for you. Just all for you.
Yeah, very, very special. I haven't heard that one before, actually.
No, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that you've ever heard that.
What are you
one.
referring to? Is it a TV show, that riff or something, or is it a kid's book, or I don't know?
I might have heard it on the radio, maybe the Wireless.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago.
Okay, they still have them, don't they?
I think so. I think they give it
Yes.
they have like a crank handle and fire up that way, a couple of massive D-sized batteries or something.
Yes, it's still around now. I think grandparents listen to it as well.
They do. And a big hello to all the grandparents out there listening to this fantastic brand new podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Yes, hopefully everyone's staying safe and washing hands and doing everything they have to do while we weather this virtual storm.
And not hoarding toilet paper, that's for sure.
Yes, no, share it. Share everything you got. I think there's plenty to go around.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into what we are doing this evening, it's obviously evening where I am. I'm sure it's evening where you are, where we are a few kilometres away, about an hour or two away from each other. But I know Basketball SA have set up a website in relation to COVID-19 and updates. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's on our website, basketballsa.com.au/COVID-19, COVID-19. So on that website there, whatever competition or basketball-related activity that you might be a part of, you can go onto that website, click the link, and it'll give you a list of all the different programs and what sort of level of activity is going on. As all of you guys would know, everything's been suspended for now, and it's just a matter of when we can get everything back and running. But if you do want to double check anything, it will be updated quite regularly as news and things change, which it has been doing a lot. Obviously keep yourself updated and check on that website, basketballsa.com.au/COVID-19.
Which is super duper important, so make sure everybody out there, you're keeping a close eye on that as the days, weeks and months roll forward. Tell us about what we're doing in our podcast, about our format and what we're here to talk about.
Okay, so Hoops Fix, obviously it's all about getting your fix of hoops. We can't do that in the physical too much now, so we're going to give it to you in the virtual. For our first series of shows, we're going to go over basketball movies and give you guys some sort of reviews and breakdowns of basketball movies that are really famous over time. So it's a really, really interesting thing. Some of the movies you guys would have seen, some of you wouldn't have. So it might give you something to do as you're bunkered down inside your different nuclear shelters around Australia.
So the very first movie we're going to go over today was released on the 27th of March 1992. It took home $14.7 million in the opening weekend box office in the US. It is the absolute cracker of the film. It's one of my all-time favorites. I know it's one of yours too. Well, White Men Can't Jump. Now, I'll run through the synopsis and then we'll get stuck into this movie. Billy Hoyle, played by Woody Harrelson, is a white basketball hustler who banks on black players, underestimating his skills on the court. When he pulls one over on Sidney Dean, played by Wesley Snipes, his victim sees a lucrative opportunity and they become partners in the con game, plying their trade across the courts of Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Billy has to keep one step ahead of mobsters to whom he owes money, while staying on the good side of his Jeopardy-obsessed motormouth wife, played by the beautiful Rosie Perez.
Yes, amazing movie. I remember being a kid watching it, and it was one of the first sort of big basketball blockbusters that came out around those sort of 90s years, and it really it sealed the deal for me falling in love with the game of basketball. I just thought it was so cool to see these guys in the movie, and I just wanted to be a basketballer even more after watching it. I even have my own personal little Venice Beach story, which I might share a little bit later on, which is quite closely related to the story in White Men Can't Jump as well.
Well, I've been called a chump a lot, so I guess that's my connection to the movie. But
that's true.
That's as close as I get to it. So White Men Can't Jump comes out in 1992. Ron Shelton is the director. And this man has created some of the most amazing sports films of our generation. So we're talking about the 80s and 90s I go back to. So he wrote and directed Bill Durham back in 1988. He wrote Blue Chips in 94. He wrote Cobb, which is about the baseball player Ty Cobb. He did the screenplay and directed that. And he wrote and directed Tin Cup as well. So this man, as well,
Kevin
along
Costner,
with...
Yep.
He's been everywhere when it comes down to the sports genre, and all of those movies are absolute cracking films as well. So it's no surprise that White Men Can't Jump is an absolute fan favorite worldwide.
I think maybe he was even too successful, because looking at his IMDb, he's had a bit of a gap since the turn of the century. He hasn't done too much at all. So I think he's gone more into TV and left the movie stuff behind. But yeah, really, really good history on his resume. And Bad Boys 2 as well. Nice little segue for that one for me as well.
You would think that probably since the late 90s he's been Scrooge McDuck style diving into his money pit.
Exactly.
And, just counting
Live
everything.
it large.
And why when he was a very, very talented man, Ron Shelton. He also wrote If I Lose, which was performed by Aretha Franklin, and he co-wrote Gloria with Woody Harrelson on the soundtrack of it, which was sung by Louis Price.
So he did music as well.
So he did a lot of everything. He had his thumb in many pies, which you shouldn't do at the moment.
No,
but,
wash your thumbs before sticking in pies.
Yep, before pie, after. It just makes sense.
Yes.
You know it does.
It's a general rule.
So tell me a little bit about your view on the Woody, Wesley, the Sidney Dean, the Billy Hoyle dynamic in this film.
I think it's really the crux of the whole performance. Like, without those two having the chemistry that they had on screen, it just wouldn't be the movie that it was. Obviously, the supporting cast played their roles, but there was nothing really special beyond Rosie Perez. Those two guys really made the movie, and I think you can see in it, they're like, obviously they become a pair of brothers, and they're like, sometimes they're hating each other and screaming and cussing each other out, and then other times they're best of friends on the court. So it's a really, really interesting dynamic to watch it evolve throughout the movie. What did you think?
I absolutely agree. I think with Woody and Wesley, the disappointing thing for me is that their partnership really stopped after Money Train. They had such a really good mix on film. I mean, Woody was a little bit manic and Wesley's nice and smooth, and it just really it was a fantastic compliment. It was very complementary to each other, and after that sort of faded away after Money Train, it was a little bit sort of like, well, maybe they could have kept going and maybe even came about with a White Man Can't Jump 2. I don't know if that's ever going to occur, but
Dare to dream.
Absolutely right below. It encapsulates every moment of the movie that they're on screen and they share it together. Even when they're playing, obviously the pickup games against the other boys out there, they are still the absolute main focus, and you're just waiting for something to happen between the two of them.
And I think their basketball skills made it all the more believable. Like, we've seen a lot of basketball movies. Teen Wolf is one that jumps to mind, where the basketball is absolutely so unbelievable. I guess it takes away from the movie for a basketball fanatic, whereas this movie, those guys look like they can actually play. Like, Wesley's got some handles on him. Woody knows what he's doing. Looks like he knows what he's doing. Got a bit of a funky jump shot, but it really seals the deal and sells the roles, I think, on screen.
I was going to ask you about that as well. I've read that Woody, he was either good enough to play Div 3 college or some sort of equivalent to that. But the jump shot does look weird. It's high, but it's got like almost a double hand push. As someone who's been not just a player in ABL or Premier League or NBL 1, whatever you want to call it right now, but obviously back in the day for yourself, Will, playing for the Eastern Mavericks as well as coaching. Yep. From a coaching perspective, how does that look when you're watching it going, okay, this is a guy who can actually play, but watching that jump shot, is it a broken shot or is it a pretty effective shot?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's pretty broken. Like, from a coaching perspective, he's got two hands facing the same direction, which is not what you want. You want your right hand looking like Kobe after he shoots, with that nice kind of swan-looking arm out in front with your fingers bent down and your swan wrist. But yeah, Woody Harrelson's got two hands, like you say. He's almost netball throwing the ball towards the rim. So from a coaching perspective, no, it's no good. But I mean, we've seen plenty of jump shots that don't look good be effective. Like Kevin Brooks is one that comes to mind. Like, people saw him shoot and you wouldn't think it would go in, but he was one of the best shooters who played NBL. Shane Hill, same thing. He's got that hammer shot. Technically, it's no good, but if you practice enough and get enough reps in, you can make it good. So yeah, maybe Woody Harrelson fit into that sort of basket where he didn't have a perfect technical shot, but he made it good enough that he could play at whatever level.
I'm going to probably ruin a bit of people's imagery of seeing Woody dunk the ball at the end of the film, and confirm that I know that I've read it a few times. Actually, double checked the info last night. They actually had to lower the ring to 9.5 feet as opposed to 10, which is still not a bad effort. 9.5 feet. I mean, look.
So white men can't jump then. They just
they can't jump 10 feet. They can't jump 10 feet. They can jump 9.5. That's but I don't think the white men can jump 9.5 feet title was going to really kind of be accepted. I don't think.
No, and I think in their defense, I looked them up. I didn't know before we started doing some research. Woody Harrelson is 1.77 m, so he's barely 5'9", and I reckon Wesley Snipes is like 1.75 m. So these guys aren't even 6 foot tall. So they're pretty small bowlers, really.
The magic of Hollywood, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Like maybe not showing the trampoline under their feet as they jump towards the rim or something like that.
Or the guys dressed in like just full green bodysuits, just lifting them up in the air or something to get CGI'd out later on in post production. But
exactly.
Obviously, a lot of the basketball scenes are our favorite scenes when we talk about falling in love with the game back in the 90s and looking at this going, this is the game that I want to be involved in for a long time, and this could be me. This is what I want to do. What would your, I wouldn't say favorite scene, because there's so many of them that come to mind, but what are your favorite scenes or moments from the movie?
I think, for me, I don't know why, it seems to be like a bit of a sandwich effect. Like the first scene of the movie where Woody walks to the courts at Venice Beach, and there's those black guys playing music, and he sort of has a little interaction with them. And then he steps on the court and he immediately hustles Sidney Dean, Wesley Snipes. I really love that scene. It just sets the tone for the whole movie of, it's this street ball, trash talking culture, or that's what it is. That's the whole movie. And then that it goes out in the same way when they sort of sandwich that on the other end, where they've gone through all their ups and downs and trials and tribulations, and then at the end of the movie it's still about playing basketball on the streets. So as heartbreaking as the last scene is, I think it was very poignant for the movie, that it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about anything else for Billy Hoyle. It was about playing basketball, and definitely I think a lot of people listening might be able to agree with that they probably haven't done things quite right by their partners or significant others or family members at times. They'd probably put basketball first, and obviously at the conclusion of the movie, that's what happened to Billy Hoyle as well. He lost out and put the game first. What about you? What were some things that sort of stood out when you rewatched it recently?
I think it's the first grouping of Sydney and Billy when they're playing for the first time together, as opposed to the opening basketball scene where they're obviously first sort of fleshing each other out. They're now just putting their games together. But they're still trying to. They're starting that joint con as well, which is
hustle with Big Rodney.
Big Raymond.
Rodney. Raymond. Sorry, I got the name wrong. Yeah, Big Raymond.
This ain't Rodney. This ain't Rodney. It's Raymond. Big Raymond, played by a 5-time NBA All-Star Marquez Johnson too. By Raymond. So big Ray, but I think so. Not only with they're starting their on-court dynamic as players and trying to match up their skills and try to get the win, because they obviously want to win their cash, but they're also trying to trick everybody. And these are people that clearly Sidney Dean knows. So these guys that they're playing against, he knows these guys already, because otherwise it wouldn't be an in. It's not like it's being hired for a gig or something. He knows these guys. So I'm going to come play with you guys, and then tells Woody to come along Billy to come along and do all this. And then with it taking that turn when Raymond gets the irrits and goes, right, I'm going to shoot everybody, and it really just changes the tone of the movie all very suddenly. And then you realize that these guys aren't just playing basketball. They're trying to, dig themselves out of either a financial hole or a living situation, and it's life or death on the court. And it could go either way, and then obviously they sprint off and go listen to Jimmy.
Yeah, I think what you touched on is really, really important, because I had 1 year in America that I was lucky enough to go over and coach and experience life there, and it is very much what basketball is about there. Like, it is life and death. Like, literally people can make or break their own futures based on what they can do on the basketball court. So it's really, really amazing. To put that on the screen in such a way that, like you said, the start of the movie is kind of a bit of fun and games and whatever, and then it turns very serious, and it sort of has that element added to the movie, which I think just adds to the depth of the story.
Really, absolutely right. And I think in regards to that theme as well, when they talking about whether it's race, whether it's something bigger than that, I kept coming back to the line. I had to actually YouTube it and listen to it a few times over and over and over. When they're at the tournament, the Brotherhood tournament, and they're having a bit of an argument, just while Billy's trying to trash talk Flight and Willie. The line that Sidney Dean says to him, that it's not about black or white, it's about money. This is about greed. You got that? That for me, it really shows exactly which way this movie was going. It really wasn't about white versus black and that sort of that clash. It's that Sidney Dean is trying to get his family a better life, and Billy Hoyle is trying to get himself not killed. So it's not done by some gangsters. It really just sort of wakes the movie up to like, right, this isn't about that. This is about trying to live your best life possible.
Yeah, I think, again, it touches on that survival theme of basketball is the vehicle that people in those situations might use to better their own life problems. And obviously there's a lot of different vehicles people can, do to get money. But for them, it was that basketball. And like you said, that scene where Billy Hoyle went absolutely crazy at that last tournament, just trash talking the hell out of everyone, and especially their two main opponents. It was a very, very interesting scene, and the whole movie does touch on race. Like, it uses itself to bring that up, which I think at the time in the early 90s there was probably the Rodney King sort of thing happened, and there were probably things bubbling along under the surface in America that weren't really talked about, probably a bit taboo. So it was very interesting that they chose to bring that to the front in this movie.
With the, I suppose that theme of on Billy's side with trying to get himself out of debt, I wanted to bring up the Sookie brothers.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to be pretty blunt. I don't think these guys are very good gangsters. As far as gangsters go, like, you know, as duos of mob guys, gangster guys goes, like, you know, I've seen a lot of, you know, mob films, Godfather, Goodfellas, you know, and then you travel up to the other sort of, you know, not so good gangster sort of guys like the Wet Bandits, you know, and I think the Sookie brothers are kind of in there with the Home Alone Wet Bandits, and the reason for this, so Billy Hoyle owes them lots of money, and they've been chasing him all over the place, looking for him everywhere. Billy Hoyle gets off a train, wanders over to a basketball court, plays basketball against some guys he's never met before. Next scene, one of them tracks him down. Sidney Dean just goes and knocks on his front door. So how can Sidney Dean, who's never met Billy besides this point, find him in 20 seconds, whereas the Sookie brothers are just wandering around looking for him? You've got no idea where it is. Terrible gangsters.
Two clowns. No good. No. They should be fired.
Gone. Just take a good hard look at yourself. You know, it's the Polaroids. I don't believe they're Polaroids. They just it's a fabrication.
Pathetic hitman. Pathetic.
It's not even a hitman. I bet that was a water pistol, not even a gun.
Slackman at best.
Yep. Agreed. That was It's not impressive. You're not scaring anybody. It's fine. I think, you know, Billy, just get on with your life. They're not going to do anything.
No. All talk. So you hit the nail on the head right there. The Sookie brothers were. Yeah, they were one of those supporting roles that just didn't quite, I guess, sort of add anything to the movie. Like, obviously, their position in the movie added, but in terms of their performances, it wasn't completely believable. Like, it was a bit comical, maybe.
I think maybe we sort of could see Sydney's story, and we needed that little bit of context, maybe with Billy's side. So bring it in, but it's still a bit, you know. And if I was Gloria, I'd be like, what did you say? You owe these dangerous, or let's do finger quotations, dangerous gangsters, mobsters, $8,000, and you want to start dating? Nah, I'm out. Alright, see ya. Yeah. It's like Sydney's wife said to her girlfriend, "It's your boyfriend," or however she said it. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how she said it. She right. Yeah, I fully agree and support that. She right. Get rid of it.
Yes.
And look, let's be honest, she probably did the right thing.
Well, yeah, it was sort of like the writing was on the wall, and Billy couldn't figure it out or couldn't fix himself. He just obviously always fell into doing the same old mistakes and same habits, and he paid the ultimate price of losing Gloria in the end. But
he still had basketball.
Yes, it is a lonely existence, basketball, for sure, so at times.
Indeed it is.
Yes.
With moving this movie on in regards to a reboot, who would you have you got a list of guys at the top of your head, whether they be actors who can play basketball or basketballs that can act, that could carry a film like this as a White Man Can't Jump, either reboot or number 2?
I might start off with basketballers, and I'll say I reckon Steve Nash or Jason Kidd. I don't know why. I guess they can play the Woody Harrelson. I'm not sure what they're like at acting, but they seem to fit the mold of, you know, that kind of guard type of player and can shoot a bit and make some passes. So they're probably two of the guys I'd get to fill the Woody Harrelson role. On the other side, Wesley Snipes. That's a tough one. Maybe Isaiah Thomas. He's got that kind of, you know, that attitude and that thing about him. I reckon he'd be able to talk a fair bit of trash. He's one who jumps to mind. And maybe even Reggie Miller, going back a few years. He was another trash talking guy who sticks out in my mind. What about you, AB? What are you thinking?
It's rough. I think it would need to be an actor who can play basketball. Because I think the depth of character that comes out is, you're absolutely right. It is absolutely crucial this isn't like a Space Jam 2. No offense, LeBron. It's going to be awful, but we're going to love it. But it's going to be absolute just awful. We all know that.
Yeah, we'll give our money still. Don't worry.
We sure will. We'll buy them merch. My kids we'll get them the DVD. It'll be wonderful, but it will be a terrible, terrible film. But we've got to make sure that who get if it does happen, if it does get cast as a reboot or something along those lines, that it's an actor that can play a bit of basketball, that can then bring that depth. I tried to have a bit of a look through to see if I could find anybody that had that. I think John Krasinski showed a bit of basketball skill in The Office during one of their episodes, and he's a bit of flavor of the month at the moment. Anyway, I went back through and had a look at some of the NBA All-Star celebrity games, and I think it's hard.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, look, I sort of didn't want to go there, because Common was a very good basketball player as well.
Yes,
he was quite good, so he could. But
and he's taller.
He is taller, and I don't know whether we just need to give these to guards. I don't know whether sort of guys who are a bit taller, a bit more, a bit longer can play these roles. But look, I think Kevin Hart probably. Can probably fill that void. I would be reluctant to name a basketball player that can act. Look, it's especially to take a movie like Well Men Can't Jump and make that so deep is what the original was.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really, really fair comment. Kevin Hart, he's like perfect. He's obviously got his basketball side, and he's funny as heck as well. So he obviously talks a lot of trash in all his movies naturally. What about white guy? Who's your white guy? Who's playing Woody?
I probably I don't know. John Krasinski's probably a bit tall for that sort of role, and not as I want to say scraggly, but just because he just seems so clean cut. Frankie Muniz is actually quite a good basketball player. I don't know what he's doing with himself these days, but surely we could just dust him off, from Malcolm in the Middle. I think we could get Frankie back out again and just
send him a tweet. Send him I don't know.
I'll call him in a sec. We'll press pause and I'll just quickly give him a call and see what he's doing. And look, he was a decent bowler as far as I know of, and what I've seen from Frankie. I don't think he's doing very much. I'm sure he'll appreciate the call.
Yeah, a bit of a paycheck. Is there anyone you think that would be somewhat opposite of what you would cast? And by that I mean a guy who jumps to my mind is imagine Seth Rogen playing Woody Harrelson's role in this movie. I think that would be quite hilarious in that it's so inappropriate.
Depending on which Seth Rogen we're talking about, whether we're talking about Green Hornet Seth Rogen or we're talking about every other movie Seth Rogen, because it's
every other movie Seth Rogen.
Yes, then no. That's a no. Well, Channing Tatum, I like Channing.
Oh,
I don't mind it. And he's got a bit.
He'd get the ladies in, right?
He would, and that's half the half. Just play skins and shirts, and that's what they want, and that's fine. That'll work. I think Channing's all right, and he seems to be relatively athletic. I mean, in 22 Jump Street, played some football.
Yes,
it's already had. So that's the connection to football to basketball is pretty much it. Like Nelly's a very good football NFL player, and he can swing that to basketball. So that's another sort of that connection. You've always got the hand-eye coordination. You can make it work.
Definitely. Okay. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? What's next on the list of things we're going to have a chat about?
The career definements, I suppose, or the career changes for both Wesley and Woody. I was actually doing a bit of reading into Woody's casting as Billy Hoyle. The production company, the studio, wanted Keanu Reeves, and Keanu. So
Keanu.
Yeah. That's the one. And you just imagine a lot of he'd shoot a basket, and then the stare would pan away. He'd just look off in the distance and go, "Whoa," and that's it, and insane. And that's what you'd expect. But what they did during the casting process was there was a basketball court just outside of Culver City casting offices, and they got the guys that will go out there to see what they had. And Keanu didn't have much.
Oh.
But he's if you remember the movie The Replacements, he was very good as a quarterback in that.
Yep.
But from a basketball perspective, he wasn't no good. So on the basis of that, he was not cast in the role. Woody didn't get the role after that. The role was then offered to Charlie Sheen.
Oh, wow. But what, I'm
Which is-
assuming there was something that happened that made him not be able to make it on time or something, or he became unreliable?
Didn't play basketball. Didn't want it
Oh.
didn't want to be a blight on his career of in acting.
So he didn't believe in the role?
No. So he's like, no, I'm good. So he passed. And then they gave it to Woody. So he was
Okay.
third choice.
Yeah, I think just looking back, obviously, history and hindsight helps us a lot. But seeing that movie, like he'd done Cheers before and sort of, I think he was one of those, on the sideline, in the background type of actors. But then after that, then he was in Natural Born Killers, went on to, People versus Larry Flint, Money Train, as you said, with Wesley. I think his career just went off from then. Thin Red Line, and I think it was a defining moment for him and Wesley Snipes as well. Like, if you took that movie out of their careers, I don't think they would have got to where they got to today.
Well, he said himself, this is a direct quote from Woody, I probably would have just been Woody Boyd, his character from Cheers, but for the fact that Keanu Reeves didn't play great basketball. And
Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at some of the stuff that he's achieved, I suppose in the last 15 years, like from Hunger Games to three Billboards, he was amazing in that film as well.
Oh, I love
Zombieland. Oh, look, he's created a massive career on a platform of showing how much depth he can give a random hokey basketball player from LA trying to find his player's trade, which is just amazing.
Oh, for sure. And I guess very, very similarly, a mirrored kind of career in Wesley Snipes. Like, I'm not sure if you have a quote from that, but again, that sort of role led to another and another and another. And, a few years later, he's making Blade. And that sort of really, I guess he was really one of the first big black superheroes that sort of broke into the blockbusters with Blade.
He really was, and I think also from an action hero perspective, like he went through the ring of sort of single vehicle acting movies like Passenger 57 was a very good film of his as well, and a lot of similar movies to that just kept rolling out the door, which was a big one for him. Denzel Washington was actually considered. I can't remember if he was offered or he was considered.
My man.
There's Denzel, everyone's favorite. My man. Love that. I always send that gift out whenever I get a chance to.
Exactly.
He was up for that one. Obviously, he ended up getting a role with in He Got Game, which is another absolute legendary movie. Which
Maybe talked about later on. We don't know yet.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see if we get to it. Eh?
Yeah.
Indeed. But yeah, so that's one I know of from that perspective. Again, it's the sliding doors moment of life where you get the nod or you get the head shake, and for Woody and for Wesley, they both got the head nods, and look at what they built through the 90s, and beyond.
I think just from a basketball perspective as well, you always see that sort of throwback moment in history, the what if or what could have been, like. Scottie Pippen getting traded by the Seattle Supersonics on draft day. Kobe obviously getting traded by Charlotte for Vlade Divac. So
good trade.
Yeah,
good trade.
I think it's
trade.
Well, for the Lakers, yes. But you just you look back at those moments, and I guess it's not just basketball, but it's life and it's movies and it's careers all over the place. The what if moments, and you just don't know. It could have gone up or it could have gone down, and these two guys, I think they hit home runs with this movie.
Absolutely agree. Speaking of not so much hitting home runs, but hitting the court, I would like to now know, I did write this down to ask you about your Venice Beach experience.
Yes.
Back in the day. I've been hanging out ever since you teased us in the opening. I've just been holding off. I want to know about it. I haven't asked you about this before. I want to know about it now. I have not even touched the continent of the United States of America, let alone.
What? You are missing out.
Not
right now, but another
time. Yeah, but
yeah.
But please, I'm sure everyone out there wants to hear it as well, because of those who haven't been there, tell us about the experience, what it was like. I'm sure the word that gets bandied around a lot when these sort of things happen is surreal, but I'm sure this one is absolutely a clear-cut example of something being surreal.
Okay, yes. Yeah, Venice Beach. If anyone's been there, it's obviously like a movie scene. Like you walk there and you feel like you're in White Man Can't Jump instantly. Like not a lot has changed from when they filmed that movie. Like they've obviously redone the courts and things, but the whole feel and the look around the area is just exactly like that. So I went there. It'd been sort of a bucket list item for me to want to play. I also wanted to go to Rucker Park in New York, but the 2 times I went there, it was snowing, so no one was playing, so I didn't get to do that one. But going over on the West Coast, LA, obviously the weather's a lot nicer, and head on down to Venice Beach. So I rolled on down there, a little bit like Woody in that scene, like you said, with the train and with the thing with the big Rodney.
Rodney.
Rodney. very much like that. I roll up to the court. I sort of sit down. I put my shoes on, get ready. Obviously, I've played a little bit of basketball before, so I'm trying to stretch or do something of the like to get myself ready to go. And it's kind of like you got to find, like in America playing street ball, you got to find a team. So normally you'd roll down to the court and you'd have like you, AB, Will, me, and someone else. We'd make a team of 3 to play. It's very rare that you would go somewhere by yourself. So that was probably my first mistake. And then trying to randomly go up to people and introduce myself and say I wanted to play. I remember there was one group of guys who were playing, and they were African American, and they gave me the look down, the up and down. They checked me out and they said, "No, we're good," and sort of showed me to my seat. So that was a little bit of a slap in the face moment. I thought it would be easier to get a game, and it was kind of like, again, in the movie where these other guys were playing, and one of the guys had to go. I think he had to go to work or something like that, and I was sitting there ready, obviously, to go, and they asked me to come and play, so I jumped on the court. Here's my moment, my time to shine. And they play games to like 10, I think it was at the time, like first to 10, 2s and 1s, make it, take it. So we start playing, and ironically, it was the team that rejected me to begin with. So I guess maybe I had a little chip on my shoulder, but we scored first to 10, and I reckon I scored 7 of the points or something like that. Hit a couple shots. Just, they weren't amazing ball players by any means. So obviously,
yes, they were all like former like semi-pro, weren't they? They were all
they were all ex-NBA players.
I thought
who
so.
I dunked on several times.
Yeah,
yes.
Clyde Drexler, I think, was there actually.
Yes, he was. Clyde the Glide.
I knew it.
Yeah, Clyde the dunk in the face on Clyde. It changed that day. So anyway, after that first game, which we won, those guys then came up to me and were like, yeah, come and play on our team now. And I was like, no, I'm going to stay with these guys who I played with. So that's my story. They gave me the full up and down look around, and I guess I was the white boy who probably didn't look very athletic or very menacing or anything like that. And I sort of got slung to the curb and then came back and bit them in the butt in the end. So it was a very memorable day for me. I was 5-0, never lost there, held the court, and then had to leave. So I'll basically retire as champion of Venice Beach, I guess.
I think that, surely the governor of California or whatever the district would have been there can send you some kind of medal. Or it was Kino City or something. There's got to be some sort of trophy that you must be able to get your hands on for being the king. Stuff the king and duck. You're the new king, just the king. King Will. That's it. That's all you need.
I told Arnie to shut down like the restaurants and stuff because I was a bit hungry, but he, I don't know, he didn't pick that one up. So
not Sizzler.
No, didn't give it to me. So maybe next time. But it's if you haven't done it, I highly recommend, if you're in Venice, in Los Angeles, go down to Venice Beach. Not just the basketball courts, but the whole area is kind of surreal. It's a mixture of we're in Adelaide, so it's kind of like a mixture of Henley Beach, Norwood, and maybe like West Terrace in the city. Like it's got a arty alternative vibe to it, kind of like the Fringe mixed with basketball and movies. There's always sort of movies being filmed there. The strip that you walk along, there's crazy people playing pianos with cats on their heads, and the rollerbladers like you see in White Man Can't Jump. So it is a really, really cool spot. It's even like throughout history, like Arnold Schwarzenegger lived there when he was a kid and he moved to America. I know Lindsay Lohan lived there. Nicolas Cage, Julia Roberts. There's been a lot of like A-list celebrities and famous people throughout history have spent a lot of time in Venice Beach. Arnold Schwarzenegger, actually, what made him so famous there is right next to the basketball court, there's something called Muscle Beach. You guys may have heard of that one, and Gold's Gym. So Gold's Gym is where Arnold Schwarzenegger trained when he was becoming Mr. Universe and all that. He'd go down there every day because he obviously lived in the area. So that's where he became huge. And then I believe someone found him there for the Pumping Iron movie / documentary, which if you have not seen that, it is also hilarious and cringeworthy, but it's you look back and you can see how people picked him for movies. Like, he had one-liners, he had the accent, he obviously had the huge body. So there's a lot of history in the area of Venice Beach. Like, really, really cool.
He was actually he did when he did his first few Conan the Barbarian films. I think he was dubbed as well, so they didn't quite like the Austrian accent, so they got rid of that.
Yeah,
put something over the top of it. But I think Pumping Iron has actually been on. It may even still be on Netflix, so check it out because it is.
Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing. It really
is.
Really
it's hilarious. You got to watch it to the end because it's all comes to a head in the last scenes of that movie. So. Yeah, Venice Beach. Check it out as well if you ever get time. It's free. Just roll on down to the court and hope that they let you play.
Get your budgie smugglers and your discmen and your rollerblades, and you'll fit right in with everybody.
Yeah, and just as I was going to start playing, just to add to the story, this guy must have been 6'9", huge, American black guy. He looked like he could have played NFL or rugby or basketball or anything. Like, absolutely huge, the biggest muscles I've ever seen. And he's on the court and he's dribbling around, and I'm thinking, oh my God, is this guy just going to destroy me, every which way? And then he shoots and just balls are hitting the backboard. He shot over the backboard. So you get all sorts of mixed bags down at Venice Beach for sure.
So what we might do at this point, we'll wrap this one up really shortly, but I wanted to go through these, just a quick few questions with you. I don't know what your game show brain is like, but I love watching Jeopardy.
Man.
I watch it all the time. It's on Netflix at the moment, watching it constantly and impressing my wife with my very random knowledge of just general rubbish that I happen to know.
What is a quiz?
Well, exactly. So I've got in front of me the questions that were asked to Gloria of foods that start with the letter Q. And let's see how many that you can recall. So obviously your answers must be in the form of a question. Yes. And we'll see how it goes. We'll start with the $100 clue. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. We'll start you with $1,500. That's where Gloria.
Oh my God, that's too big to start with. Can I start easier?
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. These are easy questions. Also, just
rent money.
But just before we get to that, during the Jeopardy scene, just to touch back on it, when Gloria was the Mount Vesuvius question, and she said Mount Vesuvius, I don't know how light Jeopardy used to be on knowing on answers, because they are really strict now. Because you add like one letter, like into a sentence, and you're wrong. You add the onto the sentence, you're wrong. Yep. She said Mount Vesuvius, and they gave it to her. Like, no, it's Mount Vesuvius. Not even close.
Maybe they didn't want to get her on an accent. I guess they didn't want to be, harsh on her because she was Latino or something.
I think because I read that line was actually, she actually didn't mean to say it. It wasn't in the actual script. So Rosie Perez actually mispronounced the word. She's actually said, she's said Vesuvius instead of Vesuvius. And Alex Trebek, being the legendary game show host and quick as a button, quickly improvised a line and asked the judges if they could accept it.
Oh, so he just naturally added it to the movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing Jeopardy for 30, 40 years, however long it's been going on for. So he was quick as a button on it and reacted, and it was perfect. So he did a great job of that. But I just think, it's you're wrong. Move on. You lose $100. Ask the guy, the rocket surgeon next to him, who was impressed with one of the answers that she made on, which I'll ask you in a minute. I don't want to give it away because I'll just
okay. All right.
So anyway, here we go.
Let's get into it.
The $100 question. Here we go, Will. A game bird related to a partridge.
A game bird related? A quail?
Although you answered that with a bit of a question.
Oh, what is a quail? What is a quail?
Quail is correct. It's like, is it quail? Is it a quail?
I forgot we were on Jeopardy. My bad.
What if they count that? You just go, is it a quail? It's like, they're sort of asking in like, how Australians
Question back to it. Yeah, I don't know.
The $200 question. So you got around $100. So you got $1,600. You're climbing. You're going well. So the $200 question. A custard pie often made with cheese and bacon.
What is a quiche?
Correct. Now, a custard pie. I've never
I don't think
had
that's
quiche.
right either. No, it's not custard.
It's
It's savoury, isn't it?
Can you imagine having custard with cheese and bacon?
I would just call it a cheese and bacon custard.
I would have I would take the cheese and bacon and make that into something and have like the custard afterwards. That just doesn't make any sense. So we have the $300 question. A large edible clam of the Atlantic coast.
What is a quahog?
What is a quahog? Correct.
Is that what is it? I don't even know. I just know because I watched a movie last night. So what is? I thought quahog was a place.
I think that's quahog. You think of, which is
Family Guy.
Family Guy. So I don't think that's right. The last question. This is the double Jeff. This is the daily double question.
This is for all the peanuts.
This is for everything. I'd go true daily double. Just roll with all the cash you got in your pocket.
I'm going all in.
You ready? You're prepped? Okay. I hope you've been studying your foods that start with the letter Q. The forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden.
What is a quince, baby?
What is a quince? What is a quince? Congratulations, you win Jeopardy.
No coincidence that I got that one right.
You like your quince? I don't mind a bit of quince. Yes. A bit of quince paste. It's quite tasty.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, well done. We were very impressed. I was not impressed. That was okay.
Thank you. It's fresh in the mind, so I was lucky with that one. But yeah.
Well done.
I'll take cash or check. So just whenever you're ready.
Be proud of yourself. That was good.
Yes, thank you. Well, actually, I've got some questions for you then.
Oh, okay. Yep, ready. Okay, cool.
Question.
Warm up.
Okay. Right. Did you hear that the Cleveland Cavaliers do not have a website?
No, I did not hear that.
They can't get 3 W's together.
That's very cool. Well, no one can at the moment. But yes, no, very cool.
All right. A few more questions. This one is the $200 one or something.
Sure.
It's not Jeopardy, but they're basically jokes, so you can just guess them. Did you know I used to be addicted to basketball?
Did you used to be addicted to basketball? Is that
yes.
true?
Yes, but then I rebounded.
You rebounded. Very good.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That was an intentional foul.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd. Can I go for one more? Double or nothing?
Yeah.
Or something?
Okay.
So
whatever.
AB.
Yes.
Now this is public service announcement. Did you hear about people getting emails from the health department?
I did not.
They were saying to not eat canned pork.
Don't eat. Well, I mean,
with all the COVID-19 stuff. But I just warning you, ignore that email. It's spam.
Oh. Well,
this
is. We'll have to thank everybody listening to the one and only podcast we're going to be producing. That's. Look, I think this summarizes that group of jokes perfectly. So just tune right in. Well, sometimes when you win, you really lose, and sometimes when you lose, you really win, and sometimes when you win or lose, you actually tie, and sometimes when you tie, you actually win or lose. Winning or losing is all one organic mechanism from which one extracts what one needs.
Thank you, Gloria.
You're welcome, Boo.
AB, so just as we finish up, what are your thoughts? Final review on White Man Can't Jump out of 5 dunks.
Out of 5 dunks?
Yes.
5 dunks. Okay, so I think...
Your dunk review.
Dunk review. So I think for me, it's going to be like a 4 dunk, so like a Vinny Carter elbow through the hoop.
Okay.
Iconic Vinny Carter back in the Raptors days. I gave it that rather than the full 5. Yeah, because it's not a 5-star movie. It's a 4 dunk movie for me.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I'd go with a 4-star. Obviously, they're not winning any Academy Awards or Oscars or anything like that, but for a basketball movie at the time, it's always going to hold a really nice place in my heart and in my mind. And even watching it now, it's held the test of time. So, yeah, for me as well, 4 stars. I would say that's Cortez Groves alley-oop from outside of the backboard at the old powerhouse.
Yes, Cortez.
Do you remember that
Groves.
one? Outside of the backboard? Yeah. Okay.
Very nice man, Cortez Groves too. He's gone on to do
rolls
some
off
good
the
things.
tongue.
Indeed. No, I like it. I'm happy with that. That was pretty good.
Okay, and anyone, I guess, if you want to get involved, hashtag, what is it? BSA Hoops Fix. Hashtag BSA Hoops Fix. Get involved. Let us know any movies you want to see reviewed or any comments you might have about White Men Can't Jump or any other basketball movies.
And where it sits in your figurative top 10, figurative top however many, there's been a stack of basketball films out there, some absolutely not worth mentioning, Thunderstruck, that would definitely be in your top 10. So please have a bit of a think. Where does it place? And let us know. You're obviously using that hashtag BSA Hoops Fix.
Definitely.
So thank you very much. That was a great first roll, and we look forward to chatting again, Will, and looking forward to bringing another film your way via the Hoops Fix podcast. Great stuff.
Yes, thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.